Hello everyone, today is 16th of December, Monday. Now it's 10 past 9 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. And there are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment. Although before I start, let me thank you all dear friends. Let me thank our community for successful stream. I will say yesterday evening I resume traditional Sunday live streams, community chat, and it was great. It was great yesterday to be engaged in real time with community and to share opinions on different topics. So truly grateful to everyone who participated in the stream. And even though there was some technical issues because I'm streaming with VPN, based on reactions of community, it was okay. There was not too much issues with buffering and stuff, and therefore I will continue with the Saturday live streams. And so if you want to discuss certain topic during the Sunday stream, you can send a question. If you are a member of our Patreon and Boosty community, you can send a private message with your question. If you are not, you can send your question via PayPal during donation or via Boosty platform. And during the live stream itself, there is donation alert platform that sometimes does not work, but sometimes does. So we can use that platform also. And of course, I will prioritize questions from Patreon and Boosty community and questions that I might receive through PayPal or Boosty. Although I'm engaged obviously with community. I'm reading chat, reacting on the questions. So it isn't, you don't necessarily have to donate or be a member of our Patreon and Boosty community to highlight a certain topic that you want to be discussed during the live stream. So that's the announcement that I want to start this this update for today. Once again, thank you all for attention and support. I was really happy that live stream yesterday went quite okay, despite some technical issues, which is connected with VPN and this way of streaming, which is only way I can stream right now, because unfortunately from notebook or PC, basically you cannot access YouTube, only through VPN here in Russia. Okay, that's being said, let's talk about news now. And dear friends, when it comes to yesterday's live stream, it has more than 3,100 members of our community watched live stream, some during the live, many after, and I'm grateful to all, of course. Okay, that's being said, let's go through some news. And during the live stream yesterday, I spoke about number of news that I will highlight in this update, because I was obviously preparing today's update. That's what I do whenever I finish working on one update. I'm almost straight away starting preparing next one. So I had a number of news already prepared, and I shared some of it. And well, I will start with this news, for example, that RIA Novosti is reporting about, and many other media outlets here in Russia, that there was an emergency situation in the Kerch Strait, on the Black Sea side of the Kerch Strait, where two oil tankers, were damaged due to rough weather conditions, rough seas. One of the tankers were carrying, according to reports that I see, more than 4,000 tons of mazout, and unfortunately, as you can see on this picture, by the way, one of the tankers break in two parts, and there is an oil spill now, and emergency was declared by Russian government, and special working group is created to deal now with the consequences of this emergency situation. Unfortunately, according to some reports, one sailor died as a result of this emergency situation, but rest of the crew from both tankers that experienced difficulties were evacuated successfully, according to reports yet again. And of course, almost straight away, once this news broke that there was some emergency in the Kerch Strait, Kiev regime's propaganda outlets start pushing narrative that it's Kiev regime's drones that successfully targeted the Russian tankers. Some non-Ukrainian outlets, media, in alternative media also start pushing this narrative, although my personal take is that, well, I shared video on my Telegram. You can see even on this picture that RIA Novosti is providing that sea was really rough. There was waves, and these tankers, this Volganevch type of tankers, Volganevch 212 and Volganevch 239 that were experiencing emergency. These are river sea type of tankers. These are not the tankers that are carrying oil or oil products worldwide in open ocean, right? And they are much smaller tankers than oceanic ones, and are not really ready for the rough seas, not as capable as bigger ones to deal with the high waves. And I guess some mistake was made when these tankers were allowed to move through these rough seas, and that's why emergency occurred. The investigation is on the way, and I guess we will find out more information shortly, but I believe Kiev regime has nothing to do with these tankers. They just end up in the wrong time, in the wrong place, and due to weather conditions, they experience emergency. Unfortunately, there is an oil spill now, and Russia will, of course, have to deal with this situation once weather conditions will become more or less normal. Right, so I want to start with this emergency yet again. I mean, the rumors start circulating that this is, Kiev regime under active support of Western ruling class are starting now hunting down Russian shadow fleet that carries, oil from Russia to, world market. Yet again, dear friends, this is a river sea type of tankers. This kind of vessels are not moving in the open ocean. They are not built for that, right? So most likely this oil was carried inside Russia. It was internal operation, right? And that's it. This oil was not directed to the world market, in my personal opinion, because I just don't see how this type of tankers can navigate in open ocean. They are not built for that, right? And name says it all. I mean, Volganevch, Volga is a river, right? Russian river. So these are river sea tankers that are moving on, on shorelines, on rivers and on the shorelines at sea, but they're not go in open sea or ocean. But yes, this is a major development, of course, and I had to share information on that. Unfortunately, one sailor, according to some reports that I see, died as a result of this emergency. The rest of their crew were evacuated. TASS news agency is also reporting, based on Russian Defense Ministry, that Russian armed forces liberated Vysyoly Guy and the Pushkina settlements in DPR. Latest reports are that Kiev regime sent Azov neo-Nazi formation in this direction, in direction of Pushkino. And there are some clashes are there right now, although hard to tell, obviously. What we have now is this report that Vysholy guy and Pushkin are liberated, and also Anovka, by the way, Anovka settlement on the southern flank of Kurakhovo. And as I reported yesterday, based on Russian media reports, there was about 700 military personnel of Kiev regime that end up in a cold room in and around Anovka settlement. Then this news broke that Russian forces raised the Russian flag on Anovka. There is video, by the way, that is circulating on internet. So this is official. Anovka is under Russian control. And later on, late evening yesterday, I saw on one of the Telegram channels report that about 200 military personnel of Kiev regime is still in cold room, which means that roughly about 500 military personnel of Kiev regime was neutralized. Some of them were neutralized, some probably surrender, and the number of Kiev regime's military personnel probably managed to break out from this cold room. And for late evening yesterday, in this area, that's the area, by the way, that we are talking about. And at this point, about 200 military personnel most likely are still in a cold room and probably looking for ways to escape from this area. And I remind you, dear friends, that according to Russian media, according to Rogov, it was Rogov, I believe, who said that these units, Kiev regime's formations that were encircled, they asked Kiev regime permission to withdraw 8 times, and they've been denied. So Kiev regime basically sacrificed these forces just to little bit slow down Russian advances. Little bit, I mean, just for 12 to 24 hours. That's it. You know, so this information clearly demonstrates attitude of Kiev regime and its Western backers towards the lives of this forcefully, mainly at this point, forcefully mobilized military personnel that Kiev regime is sacrificing on daily basis. Also, dear friends, we have this report from TASS News Agency about statements of Ukrainian journalist, public figure, politician Anatoly Shary, who is in exile. He lives in Spain, but very active on social media. One of their most popular figures, as far as I understand, in Ukraine. His videos, his publications have hundreds of thousands of views, by the way. And he has huge following. And recently he stated that, according to his information, Kiev regime may start yet another offensive operation about close to 20 of December. He did not specify in which direction this offensive might happen, but this information that comes from Anatoly Shary is, I believe, connected with the creation of a new grouping of forces by Kiev regime with the designating symbol square. And because previously we see Kiev regime using designated symbols like triangle for a grouping of forces that participated in invasion of the Kursk borderline areas of the Kursk region of the Russian Federation. Of course, rumors start circulate on internet, including in Russian segment of internet, that Kiev regime potentially is preparing yet another incursion into Russian territory, maybe in the Bryansk region, maybe somewhere else, and potentially even in Belarus. Theoretically, this is possible, by the way. Theoretically, the regime definitely can sacrifice another 10 to 20 or 30, even thousand, these forcefully mobilized people to attack Russia once again, or Belarus. Although same time, I wouldn't be surprised at all if all these stories misinformation, part of misinformation or disinformation campaign that Kyiv regime and its Western backers are conducting now to basically keep certain number of Russian forces in directions that potentially can be attacked with these troops. And by the way, I remind you that according to reports, some vehicles with square symbols on it were spotted in Chernigov area, in Chernigov region that is still controlled by Kyiv regime. And when it comes to Chernigov region, by the way, this is Chernigov region, right? And Chernigov region is directly borders Bryansk region of the Russian Federation and Belarus. So obviously, to stay on safe side, Russia will keep most likely significant number of forces in the Bryansk region to repel any potential incursion. Belarus probably will be on high alert, and also, after all, it is also possible that this grouping of forces, several cars maybe were spotted in Chernigov region, or maybe those photos were published by Kyiv regime's, affiliates themselves to create a false understanding of the situation, and maybe that new grouping of forces is located somewhere else, not necessarily in Chernigov, but somewhere else, right? So attack might take place in any direction, if there will be any. So we should be ready for possible another invasion of the Kyiv regime into Russia or into Belarus. But yet again, me personally would not be surprised at all if nothing will happen, and all this media campaign about creation of this new grouping of forces with a square designating symbol is just a disinformation campaign. Anything is possible, right? But Anatoly Shary reported that according to his information, the Kyiv regime plans to start yet another this so-called offensive around 20th of December. So it's like 4 days left. So we will find out during this week, I guess. Also, dear friends, we have this report from Vzglyad newspaper that during the previous 24 to 48 hours, Kyiv regime lost more than 400 military personnel in the Kursk salient area. And when it comes to Kursk salient area, where Russia is conducting counter-terrorist operation to neutralize invading forces of the Kyiv regime and NATO mercenaries, of course, last several days, this topic of North Korean troops have been utilized by Western propaganda once again, Kyiv regime's propaganda, Western propaganda, and many channels start reporting based on some drone footage that some North Koreans are, directly participating in offensive operations and even taking certain positions. I was asked about this topic yesterday during the stream, and my answer is quite simple, by the way. I did not see any real proofs that North Korean troops are in the Kursk salient area or participating in battles. And until I will see real proofs, concrete proofs of presence of North Korean troops, I'm not gonna believe in these rumors, right? That footage, drone footage that is circulating on internet tells us nothing really, because all you can see in that footage is some people are just moving in certain area, and that's it. You cannot know, are these people members of Russian armed forces? Are these people members of North Korean or South Korean or Vietnamese forces or forces from Angola or from Kyiv regime or from NATO? It's just some people moving around, that's all, right? And of course, I'm not gonna take such videos as a proof of anything, really. If there are real concrete evidences, I will say as it is, right? If I see proof that yes, North Korean troops actually are participating in operations, I will say so. What is the issue here, right? After all, I wouldn't be against if North Korea will send, I don't know, million troops to help Russia, if they have million troops, or 100,000 is good enough, strong enough contingent, let's say 200,000. I don't see issue here, right? But yet again, to say something like that, you need a real proof, not some footage from a drone that tells you really nothing, right? About identity of their military group that is filmed on that footage, right? Anyways, Russian armed forces, conducting this counter-terrorist, and Russian security services conducting this counter-terrorist operation in the Kursk salient area quite successfully, and on daily basis more and more territories being liberated from invading troops of Kiev regime and NATO mercenaries, and it's only a matter of time. It was always only a matter of time when Russia will completely liberate Kursk salient area, with or without North Korean participation of the North Korean troops. Yet again, dear friends, me personally, I spoke about this topic many times, isn't it, before, and I just cannot wrap my mind around this topic, because why would Moscow want North Korean troops in Kursk salient area? It's such a headache. Just imagine, by the way. This is too much of a headache, right? I can understand, as I said before, I can understand that North Korean leadership might ask Russia to allow a number of North Korean military personnel, officers, to participate in military operations, to gain experience, unique experience of modern high-intensity battle, so they can then share this experience to other North Korean troops, which will give them upper hand compared to South Korean troops that have no battle experience at all, right, at this point. So I can see why North Korea's leadership would want their troops to gain some experience, but I just don't understand why would Moscow agree on that, because it's just too much of a headache, right? In terms of logistics, in terms of communication, in many, many other ways, right? But yet again, anything is possible. Anything is possible. Russia and North Korea had an agreement in place of comprehensive cooperation, strategic partnership, right? And North Korea definitely can, if it wants to, help Russia militarily. And therefore, if I see some concrete evidences, okay, I will say that yes. Now we can say that North Korean troops are actually participating in hostilities, in battles. But before that, I'm going to consider all these talks about this topic as rumors. That's all. Let's continue. And well, TASS news agency is reporting that team of Trump, president-elect of US, is studying initiative of Hungary's Prime Minister Orban about ceasefire that Orban came up with recently. This was an idea of temporary ceasefire and for exchange of POWs, but Kyiv regime already declined this initiative of Orban, and therefore, even if Trump's team will support this idea, I guess it is just too late. Although, if Trump teams wants to play some positive role already, even before Trump will get to office, then of course they can directly or indirectly put some pressure on Kyiv regime to at least organize exchange of POWs. That would be good, good stuff, right? If POWs will return to their families, at least certain number of POWs. So maybe we will see some activity of Trump's team in this direction. But when it comes to temporary ceasefire, potentially Russia would agree for 24 to 48 hour ceasefire. Maybe a little more on New Year and Christmas celebration time, maybe, but that's all. Russian leadership was very clear. many times that in statements that freezing of the conflict is absolutely unacceptable for Russia, and deployment of NATO troops on line of contact is also absolutely unacceptable for Russia. So I don't think Moscow change its opinion on that. Meanwhile, RT is reporting that the UK Prime Minister calls for maximum pain on Russia. This Keir Starmer is no any less crazier than Boris Johnson, isn't it? I mean, maybe even more crazy than Boris, if it's even possible. So British Prime Minister Keir Starmer has called on his fellow G7 leaders to continue maximizing Putin's pain through economic sanctions on Russia and increased military aid to Ukraine. During a video conference on Friday, the Prime Minister said that with Russian President Vladimir Putin showing no sign of relenting, it is vital that we bolster our support to put Ukraine in the best possible position for the future, according to readout released by his office. He called on fellow G7 leaders to continue maximizing Putin's pain. What is he talking about, man? What Putin's pain, man? I mean, these people really are crazy, isn't it? So he called on fellow G7 leaders to continue maximizing Putin's pain by increasing military support to Ukrainians and ramping up economic pressure, including via further sanctions where possible. The statement continued, okay, create another 20, 30, 50,000 sanctions. Okay, send more weapons, demilitarize yourself, basically, as you're already doing. Okay, you cannot turn the tide. Everyone understands in this world, everyone who has more or less good level of knowledge on this crisis understands that there is not even slight chance that Western ruling class and their puppets in the governments of the collective West, including UK, can turn the tide, right? It's not happening. So no matter how much money you're gonna formally allocate for Kiev regime, no matter what volume of weapons and munition you have to, you're gonna send to Kiev regime, you would not be able to change the outcome, which is that Russia is victorious. Western ruling class lost this proxy war that they started against Russia. They lost it, right? And it will be better for the collective West if Western ruling elites, Western ruling class will admit this loss, face the reality, and start changing its behavior. Otherwise, they're gonna push this world towards, I don't know, man, towards potentially even a full-scale nuclear disaster, because they are crazies. They are crazies, man, right? They can impose another 20, 30, 50,000 sanctions, and what? We will deal with it. As we deal with the 20 plus thousand sanctions that already are imposed on Russia. These lunatics, man. These lunatics. Meanwhile, British destroyer fleet hits a historical low, by the way. Instead of taking care of his own country, this psycho Keir Starmer is still talking about supporting Ukrainian neo-Nazis, fascists, and the terrorists. I mean, with billions and billions. I mean, how sick is that? While UK itself is in deep trouble in many ways, economically speaking, politically, and militarily also. And we have this report that British Royal Navy's destroyer fleet has hit historical lows, with only 2 of their 6 advanced vessels currently operational. The Telegram reported on Saturday, citing the UK Ministry of Defense. 4 of the Type 45 destroyers are undergoing extensive repairs, maintenance, or other work in dock in Portsmouth, leaving the British fleet at its smallest size in over a century, the report said. The Type 45 destroyers, also known as the Daring class, form the backbone of the Royal Navy's air defense capability, built for anti-aircraft and anti-missile warfare. The ships, however, have been facing various maintenance issues, which is not at all surprise, by the way, if you take into account what is happening with the British aircraft carriers. I mean, they are constantly in need of some repairs, isn't it? Brand new 2 aircraft carriers that are constantly experiencing some technical issues, and I'm not at all surprised that destroyers of UK also are, experiencing similar stuff, right? One of the vessels has spent more time in repairs than in active service since its commissioning 12 years ago, the outlet noted. Okay, man, okay. British Navy is not even shadow of its own past glory, right? Well, it would make more sense if UK's leadership would focus on its own country, on economical issues, social issues, on military issues, right? But no, Keir Starmer and his cabinet are focused on this proxy war, to prolong this proxy war against Russia as much as possible, and they are acting as if UK has no issues at all. If UK is still on top of the game, which is not the case, by the way. I mean, let's face the reality, right? UK used to be a major power in this world, right? It used to be biggest empire ever, but it is no longer the case, and London should act differently, really, now, and should focus on its own issues, really, because it's laughable, man. When you are experiencing such problems, and meanwhile your prime minister is making these crazy statements, it's not okay, man. It's not okay. These psychos that are in charge of UK and majority of the Western countries actually are, probably worst enemies of the people of these countries. Meanwhile, RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian armed forces with long-range precise strikes destroyed 4 launchers of the Patriot air defense systems, and also AN and PQ-65 radar station and station of command and control. So basically, I'm not a military expert, but if 4 launchers are destroyed, if radar is destroyed, and command and control machine is destroyed, then I guess entire Patriot battery is destroyed at that point, right? Because if a few launchers survived without radar or command and control center, you're not gonna launch those missiles anyway, right? So good success also for Russian missile troops that take out this Patriot system. And dear friends, before I continue, let me notice that this project is completely subscriber funded, and if you like my work, if you like my channels, and if you think I deserve to be in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal or Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, or via crypto. All the links on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. And let's continue with some more news. RT is reporting that Israel doubled down on the Golan Heights occupation. The Israeli government has approved a plan to double the Jewish population of the illegally occupied Golan Heights. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has declared that settling in the region is vital for Israel's security. The decision to expand Israeli settlements in the Golan Heights was made in light of the war and the new front facing Syria. Netanyahu's office said on Sunday, strengthening the Golan is strengthening the state of Israel, and it is especially important at this time. We will continue to hold on to it because it to blossom and settle in it. Read the statement from the Israeli head of the government. So yes, that's the answer of Israel, I guess, on the call of 8 Arab countries that I reported about yesterday in an update. Called for Israel to withdraw its forces from Syria, including from Golan Heights. That's the Israeli response, and I guess none of us are surprised at all that this is the position of Israel. Meanwhile, by the way, Israel is shutting down its embassy in Ireland. RIA Novosti and many other media outlets are reporting about it. And dear friends, right now, as I'm recording this update, at 9:45 minutes ago, this morning, RIA Novosti reported information based on Russian Defense Ministry that Russian forces liberated settlement of Shevchenko in a DPR. And I believe, by the way, this Azov neo-Nazi formation was deployed towards Shevchenko also, and there is fierce battles in that particular area right now between Russian forces and Ukrainian neo-Nazi Azov formation. But still, Russian troops have upper hand and they managed to secure Shevchenko. And the Russian Defense Ministry is confirming that. I can show you on the map, by the way, this settlement. So this is Pushkina. Shevchenko must be here. No. That's it, by the way. This is Shevchenko settlement on the southern side of southern western side of Pokrovsk, and I guess this area is secured now by Russian forces, and hopefully Russian forces will destroy all those Ukrainian Nazis, by the way, from Azov, that are conducting counteroffensives in this area to slow down Russian progress. But anyways, let's continue. So yes, Israel is shutting down its embassy in Ireland, and Israel is justifying it by saying that Ireland is conducting some anti-Israeli, anti-Semitic policies, which is crazy, by the way. They call everybody anti-Semitic nowadays, right? If you even slightly criticize actions of these psychos in Israeli leadership, you are called anti-Semite straight away, even if you are a Jewish person. But if you are Jewish, you will called anti-Semite anyways, anti-Israeli, anti-Semite, anti-Jewish, or they have this new relatively new terminology. They call even Jewish people good people, by the way, that are criticizing these crazy actions of the Netanyahu's government, Netanyahu's regime. They call those Jews self-hated Jews or something like that. I'm telling you, by the way, this propaganda that is pushing whatever narratives are in favor of Netanyahu and his regime are crazy, man. Unbelievable. And this action, by the way, of Israel is also, I believe, connected with the decision of Ireland to join South Africa in a criminal case against Israel. And as you know, South Africa is accusing Israel of committing genocide in the Gaza Strip, right? So yes, there will be no more Israeli embassy in Ireland. I guess Irish people will live with that, without any issues, right? But it is too bad, man. It is too bad when nowadays everybody who even slightly dares to criticize, actions of Israel being called Jew hater or anti-Semite or that kind of crazy stuff. These words are losing meaning at this point, right? Because when they are calling Jews themselves anti-Semites and self-hate Jews and that kind of stuff, I mean, it's It's just too crazy, man. It's just too crazy. So therefore, you know, at this point, probably no one cares if he or she is called anti-Semite or not. And after all, by the way, Semites are Arab people, right? Majority of modern Israelis are European settlers. They are not even Semites, for God's sake. So how anybody can be anti-Semite for criticizing policies of the government of these European settlers? I mean, all this stuff is wrong in so many levels, by the way, that it's a crazy, man. You know. And originally, yes, of course, Jewish tribes, they were Semites, obviously, and they and Arabs, they are relatives, right? As Slavic people are relative nations, right? But nowadays, I mean, I don't have studies on my hand, statistics, but I guess majority of modern Israelis are not Semites. They are European settlers from mainly Eastern Europe, right? So how are you gonna be called anti-Semite for criticizing policies of this leadership of these people? I don't know. I don't get it. I just don't. Anyways, we have TASS news agency's report that Russia is evacuating its personnel from Damascus. Its personnel from you know, different state institutions and businesses that were presented in Syria. Although Russian embassy itself continues its work. Although of course it is a possibility that eventually Russian embassy may also shut down its doors and get evacuated completely, staff. And for example, by the way, we have this report that according to Defense Ministry of Turkey, Russia did not yet withdraw its forces completely from Syria, which is true. Russia did not withdraw its forces completely from Syria, but if you ask me, I think this is inevitable. Right now, Russia still holds military bases in Latakia province, right? In Khmeimim Air Base and Navy base in Tartus, naval base in Tartus, but I guess it's only a matter of time, and Russian troops will leave Syria, and I guess Russian embassy will also shut down its doors, and there will be no more Russians in Syria. That's what is going to happen, I guess, because this country is at this point is a colony of Turkey. Part of it is occupied by Israel. Majority of the territory is occupied by Turkey, and there are some northern eastern parts are, at least for now, under control of US and Kurdish forces. That's the situation there, right? And I would not be surprised at all if Russia will withdraw everyone, all Russians from Syria, including military personnel, and that's it. And that's it, because how can Moscow have any cooperation with these animals that overrun Syria? I mean, how? These are animals, man. These are not humans. They cannot be seen as a decent human beings ever. Leader of those animals himself was cutting their heads, right? So that's it, man. There is no more Syria for me personally. Syria is finished. You know, there is no way you can have any talks with those animals, man. Fuck them all. That's it. These are terrorists, and terrorists I don't consider as a humans. It is what it is. Kommersant newspaper is reporting that well, Arab countries, according to Washington Post, leadership of Arab countries now are worrying that after overthrowing regime in Syria, some disturbances might take place in their countries, in Jordan, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and some others. And yes, they have reason to be concerned, I will say, because, well, I don't think citizens of Arab countries are happy that they allow Israel, Turkey, US, UK, and whoever was involved to basically overrun Syria with their proxy terrorists and to destroy Arab country basically. And I don't think people are happy that this mainly Arab country, which is Syria, is controlled now by Turkey, right? Historically speaking, Arabs and Turks never get along very well, right? There was always hostility there, mainly because of the struggle for domination in the Muslim world, right? And initially, Arabs were on top of the game, but then Ottoman Empire become a force in history, and of course Ottoman Empire overtook almost established control almost over entire Muslim world, right? And there is a historical mistrust and hostility between the sides, and I'm quite sure Arabs, by the way, would not be happy with their developments in Syria when some pro-Turkish and Turkish forces, actually pro-Turkish terrorists and Turkish forces are controlling their Arabs, right? So they have a reason to be concerned, for sure. Leadership of Arab countries. And I will end this update, by the way, on this news that Germany's economy is cornered, according to a minister. So Germany has been forced into a corner by underinvestment and their policies pursued by other leading economies. Economy Minister Robert Habeck had said after the central bank warned of a difficult year ahead. In an interview with the Bild newspaper published on Sunday, the politician who intend to run for chancellor next year insisted that Germany can turn their situation around. Our business model is really cornered. Will it no longer work? It would be too early to me to throw in their towel, Habeck said. The minister noted that Germany has failed to make sufficient investment in its infrastructure, tax system, and workforce skills, resulting in a negative impact on its economy. And of course, he's not gonna mention even slightly that due to crazy policies of Germany, German economy lost their main source of its success, by the way. One of the main source of its success. Main source is hard work of the German people, obviously. But one of the main sources also was energy that German economy was running on, right? And due to crazy actions of the German leadership, they lost this energy, right? Relatively cheap energy that was allowing German companies to be competitive on the world, not just in Germany itself, not just in Europe, but on a world stage, right? That's why Germany is mainly experiencing difficulties, because German companies no longer capable of producing goods that can compete price-wise or other in other ways with their stuff that are produced in North America or in China or in India or I don't know, in Russia or elsewhere. That's what is happening. But they're not gonna acknowledge this, by the way, of course. They will come up with whatever justifications, but will never say that they made a crucial mistake when they say nothing when US destroyed together with UK, Norway, potentially with Polish involvement, when they destroyed Nord Stream pipelines, German current leadership will never say nothing that they made a fatal mistake while destroying relationships with Russia. They will never say true, by the way. They are liars. All of them. All of them, by the way. And this is it for now. Hopefully you will find this update interesting, informative, and useful. And if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary. This is the only way we can try at least to influence algorithm. And if you can, please share information about my channel or my videos with your friends. That will be also, of course, a greater support. And finally, if you like my work, if you want to support, you can do it. All the links are on this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a wonderful day and take care.